most of you mindset warriors, but I guess the world needs to hear this today. So happy Monday. My name is Sam Bowker and I'm here to host Happy AF. This is a show that is normally in my Mindset Warriors group, but I've had some technical challenges today. So maybe the message that I'm sharing today needs to be shared to a broader network of people. So anyway, welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you that have never been here before, I run this show every Monday at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. And my intention really is that I want to help people learn how to do happy, right? And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, maybe. If you ask my 10-year-old, she will say, it is completely crazy, Mum. You can't learn to do happy. You can't choose how you feel. And so that is the ongoing debate and battle that we have in our car every morning. So I guess for those of you that don't know me very well, I guess I should give you a bit of an intro. My name is Sam, obviously, as I mentioned before, and I'm really passionate about helping people to, I guess, uncover their passion, step into their power and really live a truly authentic life. And the reality is to do that, it's scary as fuck, right? Because that basically means that you're putting yourself out there in the world and you're putting yourself out there and yeah, putting your hand up and saying, judge me and tell me how terrible I am and, have an opinion. And, well, you know what they say about opinions. Everybody's got one. And so what's interesting about this today is that I joke about the fact that I'm a technical genius, clearly. And this morning I've been a bit flustered because a few different things have happened that have impacted how I was feeling. When I got up this morning, I felt great, and there was all these different things that have impacted it. So it's kind of funny that on top of that, I'm now here posting into my personal page, which is something that I don't normally do. So I feel very vulnerable and I feel very exposed because here there is a lot more people than there is in my private group. And in my private group, because I know that they're already my tribe, they're already my people, I feel safe. So what's curious about that is I wonder if in that space, I actually get to be a different version of me than maybe today I feel like I can be out here. So I'm going to do my best to stay as authentic as I can and really just embrace the fact that there is no such thing as an accident. This has happened and I'm obviously supposed to be here. So anyway, a bit about me, okay? I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm a mindset coach. But really, as I mentioned, my passion is around just helping people to embrace all that they are and go out into the world and be the version of themselves that is going to be the most fully expressed version of themselves, right? Not the version that their mum or their dad thought they should be, not the version that society tells them they should be, not the version that their partner or their brother or their cousin or someone else, but the version that they were put on this earth to be. And I've got to tell you, to do that, it takes immense courage and bravery, because when you go out there and you challenge the status quo and you show up how you want to show up, as opposed to how maybe other people want you to show up, it's kind of scary because you're putting yourself out there to be rejected. You're putting yourself out there to be stood on and I don't know, we have rules about what rejection feels like. See, the fact that I'm here, like I'm noticing myself, like I'm feeling a bit anxious and a bit nervous and, I've got that dry mouth thing happening, which doesn't typically happen to me. So one of the things, I guess, that I've gotten really good at is helping people understand that these are just patterns that we do, right? These are patterns that we have learned to do either through our programming from our family, which is generational, or through our programming in society. And so when I talk about happiness and helping people get happy, I'm really passionate about people not struggling with anxiety and depression and addiction, okay? And the simple fact is that at some point in your life, no matter who you are, no matter what is going on, no matter whether you've got the best parents in the world, no matter whether, everything looks on the outside like it's picture perfect, chances are at some point you are going to struggle with anxiety or depression or addiction. And the thing is that as a society, we call this mental health, right? And we talk about it as though it's like this thing that, we're getting better, but the simple fact is people still talk about it. It's called mental health, or mental illness, which is even worse. You have a mental illness. No, you're just fucking doing life right. you are doing life right if you struggle with some anxiety or some depression, or you do a bit of numbing at some point, which is the addiction part. That means you're doing life right. But if you were to believe what the world, tells you, then you would believe that you're broken, right? That there's something wrong with you if you are experiencing those things. And that's just not true. So my passion is to really help people understand that. And when they come to me and say, I'm broken, I need you to fix me, I'm really passionate about saying, you're not broken. If you're feeling things right now, it's because you're actually doing it right. Yes, maybe you need some additional tools. But the reality is, it's not that you're broken, right? If you are not able to do happy all of the time, you're doing it right. Now, yes, okay, we all prefer to feel happy. Happy is the feeling that we enjoy feeling, for sure. But there is power in being able to feel sadness. There is power in being able to feel, anger. There is power in giving yourself permission to feel embarrassment and shame and all of these different experiences, because when you embrace all of those experiences, then you get to live a fully expressed life. So I want to share a little story with you that happened with my daughter just recently, okay? And I have a 10-year-old, for those of you that don't know. She's like my light. She's amazing. She's just the most out there, crazy, energetic, vibrant little human being. And I am so grateful that I get to share life with her, because she's just so much fun, right? But she definitely feels things really deeply. And she tries to act like she doesn't. She tries to put a big, brave front on. But the reality is she feels really deeply. And I can already see at just 10 years old, the shift and the transition that she's going through around being tough. She was hurt a few years ago by somebody, and she's only 10, right? But she's like, I'm never opening up to another person again. I'm never going to let anybody get that close to me again. I will never let my heart get hurt like that again. Like at 10 years old, she's already made a decision that, you know what, being vulnerable is not good, because being vulnerable basically means people are going to tread on you, they're going to walk all over you, or in her head, it's either that vulnerable equals being a victim, or that you're going to get walked all over and trodden on. And either way, she's like, I'm not signing up for that. And I relate with that, because as a mother, I don't want to see her go through any pain or hurt or disappointment either. And as a mother, any of you guys out there that are parents, I'm sure you've done the same thing. We don't want to see our children experience pain. We don't want to see them experience hurt. But if we don't allow them to experience those things, then they don't get to live a fully expressed life. We shelter them and shelter them and shelter them. And then when they go out into the real world and realize that you don't get a medal just for showing up, they think there's something wrong with them. And that's why we're having such a massive, I think, breakdown in teenagers and young adults, where they're going out into the world today, and it's really not their fault. It's not their fault that they're struggling so much with their mental health, as we would call it. It's the fact that they've been so sheltered and cocooned for their childhood that they haven't ever had to deal with struggle or pain or heartache or hurt. And so what we need to do now is we need to look at that and go, is that serving them? So on the weekend, my daughter starts talking to me. Now, she had this idea and she really wanted to go and find some frogs, right? She wanted to go and find some frog larvae in some puddles, because she'd seen something on TikTok and she wanted to go and find some frog larvae. And then she said, I said, all right, well, listen, go and do some research, find where you can find them. And then as she started doing her research, she realized, which truthfully, I didn't even know, because I don't know, when I was a kid, we certainly used to catch tadpoles and we used to go do stuff like that. But in Australia, to have a frog and own a frog, you need a license. You need to buy it from a licensed, reputable dealer. You're not allowed to go and catch tadpoles. And all of this, like in hindsight, does actually make sense. But those of you that, grew up when I grew up, we used to do all of that stuff, right? So she got really upset and down because she had her heart set on doing this thing. And then what she did, because she was upset about that, she started thinking about all of the other things that she was upset about. The fact that she couldn't be on the volleyball team because she's just realised the volleyball team isn't until she's in high school, which is a couple of years away. She wanted to get her ears pierced and she realised that it was too late in the day. And she just literally started stacking shitty things on top of shitty things, right? Have you ever done that? You ever notice that when you feel down about one thing, you'll all of a sudden start focusing on every other thing that you can possibly imagine that doesn't feel good? So that's what she did. And I call it stacks on. It's like, you know, that game Stacks On where you jump on top of each other. Well, that's what she did. She started stacking on the pain. She felt sad about one thing and she found something else and she found something else and she found something else. Now, my natural go-to as a mother, seeing her do that, I didn't want her to feel that pain, right? And so I went into fix-it mode, right? And even though I know I'm doing this, I still do it. Right? I know it's probably not the right thing, but in my head, I was like, okay, what else can we do? And I reached out to a friend who I knew rescues turtles. And so I said, right, come on, let's go make an adventure. And she wasn't interested, but I took her there anyway. And as soon as we got there, she was really excited that we'd done it. But I still allowed her to actually feel that pain, right? Now, I could have let her sit and wallow in it, but that wasn't going to serve anything, right? So we did. We got in the car. I let her feel and experience that pain. And then I talked with her about it. And she said, Mum, you can't just do happy. I don't know. You're crazy. Why do you think that? And I'm like, well, I run a business called Happy You Headquarters, and I pretty much make my living teaching people how to learn how to do happy. So I actually do think that you can actually learn some skills and techniques to help you with that. But, you know, I'm just a mum, so what would I know? And she kind of laughed. And she said, no, like, I believe you. I believe you. And so I started talking to her about the fact that the story that we tell ourselves will determine how we feel. So you can choose to be upset about all these things that went wrong. Because then she started at 10 years old. Sorry, let me just go back. Then she started, right, talking about how there isn't enough time, okay? Now she's 10 years old and she's saying there isn't enough time. So I challenged her, isn't enough time to do what, babe? Isn't enough time to do all the things I want to do? And I said, well, write a list. And every weekend we will start ticking things off the list. No, I don't mean about that in my whole entire lifetime. Of course, there's enough time in my lifetime, but there isn't enough time today to do everything I want to do. So she started going back down that thought process. And of course, if I say I don't have enough time, then how am I going to feel? If I'm constantly going, oh my God, I don't have enough time to do what I want to do, how am I going to feel? So it was good that she did that because it gave me the opportunity to say to her, okay, well, listen, we have choices. You can choose to think like that. And listen, the truth is that I wish I could help every single person that comes into my clinic. The reality is that I don't, okay? I wish I had 100% success rate. The reality is that I don't. I can only do the very best that I can with the resources I've got. I'm constantly learning new resources. I'm constantly learning new things to get out there and help people to the best of my knowledge. But I can only help to the degree with which I've either got personal experience or I've got some education and training. The rest is up to them. And truthfully, I reckon I have a really amazing outcome with probably 85% of the people that I work with. And it might be a bit higher, but let's just say 85%. 5% I dead set can't help. It doesn't matter. I can go round and round and round in circles and I can do everything for them. But the reality is if they are not ready to be helped and if they are trapped in their victim story, there is nothing I can do. And as heartbreaking as that is for me, and it is heartbreaking, the simple fact is I've had to learn to let go and not make it about me, right? I have had to let go and go, okay, for whatever reason, this person's not ready. But the reality is that that story that they tell, there is enough people I've managed to teach that they can tell a better story. So if you're not feeling good about stuff, I'd ask you to really start having a deep introspection, look deep inside and go, okay, am I intrinsically motivated? Am I intrinsically affected? Like, am I in charge or am I letting external stuff constantly impact how I feel? Stuff that is beyond my control, right? Because in that case, with my daughter, she was allowing things that some of which were out of her control, some of which were in her control, but she was choosing to think they were not. She was choosing to go, oh, there isn't enough time, which is just a story, right? If she'd really wanted to do all of the things that she was talking about, she could have, but she chose to sit and watch TV instead. Now she's 10, let's cut her some slack. But how often do we all? You know, my kid teaches me way more than I teach her. I am passionate about helping you guys to do happy, but I also know that it's about taking ownership for where you're at, right? we can play the blame game and we can go, oh, I feel bad because this person did that and this person did this. And oh my God, this person is so annoying. And when they do this, and oh my God. And trust me, like some of my friends I know think that I never experience this frustration. And it's just simply not true. I can sit there and scream and shout with the best of them, right? But the simple fact is that I've learned some techniques, one of which is taking some really big, deep breaths and thinking about where I'm going as opposed to what's just happened, right? Just before I jumped on to record this show, I had a really frustrating experience with somebody that I was really doing my damnedest to help, but I just can't help them, right? And so I had a really frustrating experience and I wish I could make it different, but I can't. And then I want to come in here and serve. And so I have got to find a way to let that shit go. So I chucked on this song, and it's funny, like music for me is the number one thing. I'm not feeling good. It is the number one thing that will help me feel better. And after the show, I'm going to post up here the song. It was by Carrollton, and it was called I'm Not Giving Up. Oh, I was made for this, right? And the words of it were so relevant because it was like, I will not back down. I will not crumble. I was made for this. You know, I'm not going to fall down. I was made for this. I'm not going to let people knock me down. I was made for this. And I needed to hear that just before I started because I was feeling really like disappointed. I was feeling hurt. And I said in a show a few weeks ago that I wasn't feeling betrayed, but today I felt betrayed, right? And when we feel those feelings, it's okay to feel them, but then what we do with them determines how we feel next. And what we do with them determines what we do next. Like if you feel shit, do you carry that with you all day and then do what my daughter did? Do you stack on the shit? Do you start thinking about all the other things that are wrong? Or do you give yourself permission to feel it, accept it, acknowledge it, look for what is the learning, like what is the growth? I certainly got a lot of learning and a lot of growth out of this experience. I chucked my warrior behind me today because I needed her energy. I needed to feel strong. I needed to feel empowered. I needed to feel like I did the best that I could. I needed to not beat shit out of myself. And she just gives that to me. And now I get on with the rest of my day, jumping on here. Then I had technical challenge. Once again, do I go, oh my God? And I sat back and I thought, oh, well, I could start again. I thought, no, this is how it's meant to be. I'm obviously supposed to be here today. I'm obviously supposed to be here doing it in this particular capacity. So like I've learned really quickly how to sit back and go, okay, is this going to matter in 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years? And I just do this so quickly and unconsciously that I know this won't matter. It won't matter in 3 weeks' time for me, okay? Yes, I'm hurt and upset right now, but the reality is it's not going to matter in 3 weeks' time. I'm still going to get on with my life, right? My question is, when stuff happens to you, can you let it go quickly too? Or does it latch onto you? Does it shackle you? Does it wrap you around the neck? Does it drag you under the water? Do you find yourself sharing the story again and again and again with anybody who will listen? And do you find yourself basically stoking that fire of whatever the frustration is? Because if you do that, then you're doing what my daughter did. And I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to sit with her, go through that space with her and show her how to move through it. I didn't want her to not acknowledge how she was feeling, but I wanted to give her some resources and tools so that she could move through it. Now, I had a lady come in the other day, a beautiful lady, okay? Young girl, I should say lady, maybe 19 years old. And she was like feeling broken. And I can't remember if she said I was broke. I feel, I'm broken, or I can't remember if they were the exact words she used. But the simple fact is, oh, that's right. I know what it was. Her mum said, whatever you can do, as long as you can fix this, right? As long as you can fix her. And I know that's not what she meant, but that's how we feel. I know that when we have these life experiences, right, it's easy to feel like we're broken. Like the world is constantly making us feel broken. And that's not like, that's marketers. That's people trying to promote something to us. If we feel broken, we'll buy something to feel better. So it's the matrix that you're stuck in when that's going on. But I found myself immediately correcting this mum and just, not in a bad way, but saying, hey, babe, she's not broken. She's just trying to build a house right now, and she's only got a screwdriver. Now, could you imagine trying to build a freaking house with a screwdriver? You could be a builder. You could be a master builder. But if all you've got is a screwdriver, you're screwed. Yeah, it's not going to work. And so as soon as I gave this mother this analogy and this girl, they both went, oh, and it made sense, right? So ask yourself, when you are struggling with something, it's not that you're broken, right? Do you tell yourself you're broken? Are you like, why is it so much easier for other people? Maybe you could just ask yourself, do I have the right tools in my toolkit right now? What are the resources I need to handle this? Who is someone that I could ask for some support? You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to hire a coach. You literally can jump on YouTube and search up, inspiration, motivation. I'm feeling down. I feel ashamed. I feel angry. I feel sad. And there'll be someone there that has created a video that will be perfect just for you. There will be a song that has got just the right words that you can listen to that will help you move through it. So I really am so passionate about bringing resources to people, because there has never been a better time to take ownership and control of this, right? It's your computer. You decide what you put in it and you decide how you feel. And it does not matter if people come at you and throw shit at you and give you a hard time. And, if you're out here in the public place like I am and you're trying to make a difference and you're trying to show up, people are going to judge you, right? People are going to say things about that. And you get to decide how you're going to choose to feel about that. You get to decide whether it's going to break you or whether you get to just look at it and go, okay, all right, well, everyone has an opinion. And the beauty of social media today is that people have their opinions, and I am so open to constructive conversation, right? I don't believe in criticism. I just think it's feedback. So I'm super open to that. But if someone just there is up for a fight, the beauty of social media is I can just press delete, block, and not give them the platform, right? So you get to do that in your life as well. Slightly harder when they're family or when they're friends. But are your friends holding you up? Like when you go into a rant, do they feed the rant and help you feel, empowered in that space of shit? Or do they maybe listen and kind of hear, but maybe give you the opportunity to look at it from a different standpoint? Because I don't know about you, if you want to do happy, you need to learn how to do that. Okay, so this morning, this is what I did when I wasn't feeling great. I chucked on some music. I didn't have enough time to do my breath work, but what I would have done would have been some breath work. And I've got various options there. I've got my Wim Hof breathing. I've got my Tony Robbins breathing, and I've just got my box breathing. If you want to know more about breathing, just DM me and I'll send you some videos on the stuff that I use. But the quickest way, if you're not feeling good, is to put a song on that is a song that just fills you up, right? So I have a playlist that's called Winning Songs. And whenever I need an amp up, I just chuck it on. And it gets me out of that state. And I hear words, I listen to this song, which I have loved and listened to time and time again. But the words were so relevant to me right now because I really needed to hear that and feel that and experience that right now before I came in here. Otherwise, I might have taken that yucky energy that I had not 10 minutes before I started and brought it in here. And then that's of no use. But I also see that experience as a gift, because my intention today was to come in here, when I was sort of thinking about it over the weekend, my intention was to come in here and talk about, are you living your purpose, right? And I do want to talk about that because it's super important. But this became more important, right? And this is the beauty of being able to roll up and be unscripted, is that I can share with you the stuff that I think is most relevant. And I trust that that's been given to me in that moment as a gift for you. So when I have these experiences now, whatever they are, I utilize them as a teaching and as an opportunity to share with you guys. And that's, I guess, the promise I made to myself and the promise I've been making outwardly, that I want to show up and be authentic and I want to share with you where I'm at, right? So we'll have to talk about purpose another day because we've literally got 3 minutes. But I hope there's been something here that's been valuable for you, because, if my 10-year-old can understand this as a concept and can understand that she can choose to change her feelings, then I'm sure everybody else can. And if you've got kids, what an important and amazing tool and resource to be able to teach your kids. Now, I'm just going to finish up with sharing one thing, okay? For those of you that have been watching, I might have been going on and on about this book called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. I've just finished it and I'm now halfway through listening to it again with my 10-year-old daughter. Now, if you're super PC, it's probably a little bit advanced for a 10-year-old, but my 10-year-old, she's kind of been around the block, and I honestly think she's an older soul than me. And I figure that anything she's going to get exposed to in this book is nothing worse than she's probably going to get exposed to when she's not with me. So I've chosen to allow her, maybe listen to it first. But I have to say, if you are a parent, if you are a mother, then this is like a must listen book or must read book. It is just, oh my God, like it is in my lifetime. There has been a handful of books that have come along that have just really given me something. And this book has just been profound in doing that. My daughter is now completely listening and obsessed with it. And the reason that this is such a gift for me is that she's getting to hear things, messages and ideas and thoughts and insights and awarenesses, things that I really want her to understand. But when she hears it from me, it's like, nah. When she hears it from someone else, it lands. And I don't know if you're a parent, but if you are, you know what I'm talking about. You can say something to your kid and it doesn't land. And the second somebody else shares it, all of a sudden it's like the most important thing ever. So she's sitting there and she's listening to it. And this morning, the whole thing about what was it called? Poems. The chapter was called Poems. And it was all about how she talks about how in her lifetime as a parent, she has never actively gone out of her way to do something wrong, like something that she knew in real time was wrong. Phones is the one thing she realizes is not great for her kids. She's seen it taking their creativity. She's seen them kind of withdrawing. And she was having this conversation with her son, right? And I think her son is maybe, I don't know, 14 or 15, but she's having this conversation with her son. And he then says, isn't it interesting, Mum? I've noticed a lot of kids are really struggling more with anxiety and depression, and we definitely are withdrawing. And I even noticed it in myself. And so they then made the decision, the kids made the decision to stop doing social media and to start only using their phone for texting. So the reason I wanted to finish on that note with you guys is that don't like feel like we have to protect our children from everything, right? Have a real life conversation with them, because I talk with my daughter about things and I let her hear things and make choices and decisions that maybe other parents don't. But the reality is that she then gets to make that choice. And so she got to hear this morning this story being told about someone who was an app designer. And Glennon asks this app designer, so like, you know, when did you give your kids telephones or mobile phones? And this woman laughs and goes, oh, no way. My kids don't have phones. And she laughed and she thought, isn't it interesting? The people who are creating the technology are not letting their children use the technology because they want their kids to create and not be the consumer. So I wanted to finish on that with you because I think, are so worried about our kids not fitting in, and we're worried about their happiness, and we're worried about keeping them happy. But ask yourself, are some of the things that you're doing, right, in terms of their happiness, is it more about your fear about letting them down and them not being happy with you? Because this show is called Happy AF because my mission is to help people not be anxious and depressed and addicted. But I got to tell you, the mobile phone is absolutely, I think, one of the places it starts for our kids. And it is absolutely one of the places where they start withdrawing and they start having, I guess, like a one-sided view of things, where they start going into comparison. I've taken all technology off my kid. She's still allowed Netflix and Stan. She's 10 years old, but she's had tech for years. And I've taken it off her. I've stopped her playing, you know, all these games that she was playing. And, you know, at the time, yeah, it was a headache. But we're about up to week 9. And yes, we've had some emotional moments. But for the better part, she started reading again. She started creating things again. We've started spending more time together, having real deep conversations. And now we're listening to an audio book. So don't think it's too late to course correct, right? Because this book has made me realize, it's reiterated to me again, that as parents, we can admit when we make mistakes. We can admit when we get it wrong. And we can say, you know what, honey, listen, I've been doing things this way, but I need to course correct because I've just realized, actually, I'm not doing you a service. And this is how we're going to do things. And I do that all the time with my daughter. So if you've got kids, or if you've been a kid, if you want to do happy, then understand there are things that you can do. Music is one of them, and there's plenty of other things. And listen, if you want to know more about it, I realize I'm here in my personal page today. So if you want to tune into this show each week, it's not normally here. It's normally in my group, Mindset Warriors. So like, come along and join Mindset Warriors. And I've also got a YouTube channel, which is just my name, Sam Bowker. And my mission is to help you guys stay connected to your fabulosity embrace all that you're meant to be in this world, and really go out there and live your best life, the life that you're meant to be living, living your life filled with purpose. So yeah, purpose will have to be what we talk about maybe next week. All right, guys, I love you. I hope you have an amazing day. Make it count, because you are never going to get this day back. And make sure that you join all my groups and subscribe to YouTube so that you can stay up to date with what I'm doing. Love you. Take care. Bye.